Hello, everyone. How can the European Union make Europe more competitive? Well, the European Commission has proposed a competitiveness fund of over 400 billion euros for the new budget plan of 2028 to 34. Where and how should the European clusters fit into this? Well, welcome to the Cluster Talk series organized by the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, ECCP. That's over 1,500 organizations on behalf of DG Grow at the European Commission. I'm Chris Burns. I'll be with you over this session. Let's look at the agenda to start with. We're going to begin with the cluster news. Then we have an overview of the Competitiveness Fund with the European Commission. There will be a debate, as you see, and we'll have Q&A. We'll have Q&A during that debate with you. And your Slido questions, we'll send out Slido questions to you for feedback throughout this session. And then we have funding opportunities at the end. Some tech tips, housekeeping tips. Yeah, the Slido, we'll put that up on the screen later about how you can connect. And this, there's a Q&A function on the Zoom that you're watching where you can put in your questions. There's also a chat. It's good to watch the back and forth on that. And then you can click on raise your hand if you want to pose that question directly. And please note that this is being recorded for playback. Okay, I think that's, let's get started then with the news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. Nina Hoffman, team member of the ECCP. Go for it.
Good morning, Chris, thanks, and good morning to everyone. Happy to be here with you this morning on this very important EU Clusters talk. But before we dive into the details of the European Competitiveness Fund, let us share some news and some invitations. First of all, the invitation to the TCI Global Conference, which will happen in Dublin in Ireland on the 14th until the 16th of October. You can still register, either you can scan the QR code here, and we will also put the link in the chat, to attend TCI 2025, to have some discussions with global experts, exchange on your experiences on cluster strategies, and also discuss real-world impacts of the cluster work. So if you're interested in coming to Dublin, please register for the TCI conference. There's a survey open that is called Net Zero Acceleration Valleys, which is useful for the Net Zero Industry Act. And the survey is carried out by Progress and LSE, which will ask you several questions about regulatory, financial, administrative, and strategic enablers, as well as barriers affecting net zero and decarbonization clusters. So if you're related to this area, please fill in the survey until next week, until the 30th of September. The link is in the chat, and every answer to the survey is very welcome and very valuable for us. There's also a public consultation open on the European Innovation Act, both a call for evidence and this public consultation. It is a key deliverable for the EU's Startup and Scale-up strategy, this Innovation Act, and it will help facilitate bringing innovative ideas to the market across sectors. So the feedback the European Innovation Act is open until the 3rd of October, and please click on the link in the chat to support this public consultation. And the last survey that I will mention, the ECCP Investment Survey. Here we're collecting information on major investments that are attracted or were attracted by European clusters to showcase and see what impact cluster organizations can have in attracting investments for regional development. So put in your answers here. It's a very short survey, should not take you longer than 5 to 10 minutes. The link is as well in the chat, and this will be included in the summary report of the ECCP for this year. We also have several upcoming events that are organized by the ECCP. One is the C2 Lab in Kuopio in Finland, which is a workshop-style event where you can develop new project ideas and meet discussion partners and potentially then consortium partners to initiate these collaborations on your idea and to work on concrete project proposals. This is done in cooperation with the Kopi Water Cluster and the Comprehensive Security Cluster Nassau, as well as the Sorbonne University and the Super Ecosystem Boost Eco. So a lot of great initiatives as well behind. We'll invite you to the Cluster Summit Finland the day before on the 28th of October, and then the C2 Lab will take place on the 29th and the 30th of October. Registration is still open, so if you want to meet your project partners, we welcome you to the C2 Lab. And there are also many Clusters Meet Regions events still in the pipeline for this year, as you can see here on the map. Some including also matchmaking events where we will bring together clusters, cluster actors, policymakers, and industry representatives to discuss how clusters can accelerate with the transitions, but also increase resilience and take an active role in the regional development. So a lot coming up, and we hope to see you at one or two of these events. So many thanks, and back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Nina. And the map shows the reach of how ECCP is active across the EU, also in other parts of the world, even. So it's great to see all of you connected. Great to see in the chat so many people giving good mornings from across Europe. Really great to see that. What's this European Competitiveness Fund all about, and how does that fit in with what they call the MFF, the multi-annual financial framework? That's basically the budget plan that's coming up between 2028 and 2034. What's this all about? Well, we want to find out about this, but first we want to ask you with Slido. Here's your first Slido question, and it's going to be a word cloud. So there you can connect that way. And it's, from which EU funds have you received funding as a beneficiary? Which funds have helped you as a company, as a cluster? Let us know. Let's take a look at that before we get the details of this new competitiveness fund that pulls a lot of these different funds together. The idea is to coordinate them. I don't want to steal the thunder from Magda, but we'll get to the European Commission proposal shortly. But let's take a look at how you're benefiting from what the existing funds right now, right? European ERDF, of course, you know that, European Regional Development Fund, Horizon Europe, right? Euratom, interesting. Euroclusters, great. Interreg, yeah. Erasmus Plus, okay. Very good. But for the most part, it's Horizon Europe, which is that biggest fund, I believe. It's very large. Okay. Interreg Cosme, yeah. Right. Interreg Danube, that's a regional. Okay. We do want to talk about regional as well. Cosme. Okay, very good. Very interesting. A lot of different funds, but for the most part, Horizon Europe, ERDF, and Interreg. Magdalena Brusel-Jakaszek, Policy Officer, DG GROW at the European Commission. Magda, you're going to help steer us through this. Maybe your reaction quickly to what you see there.
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from cloudy morning in Brussels. Indeed, very interesting to see the number of funds you're benefiting from currently. Many of those will be under the roof of one single fund, European Competitiveness Fund. We will talk you through this new Commission proposal together with my team. Let me present. My name is Magdalena Brusel-Jakaszek. I'm a part of the European Competitiveness Fund team at the DG GROW. Together with me, we have today also Jan Potuzak, who will be jointly presenting the fund, and Aga Wojder.
Good morning.
And Violika Dysznika, who will who is with us or will join us shortly, definitely for the questions and panel discussion. So thank you for being here. Let me start from the beginning. So we all know that the competitiveness has become a big priority for Europe. Draghi said it exactly a year ago in his report that we are at the crossroads. His diagnosis was almost entirely taken up in the competitiveness compass that was adopted by the Commission earlier this year in January. This led us to rethink how we could help European companies and industries differently than so far to help them be more competitive, especially in this volatile geopolitical, economical situation. We did an extensive analysis of the existing funding. We prepared an impact assessment. We listened to the stakeholders, and I would like to thank many of you from whom we received position papers and feedback during the consultation period. We took stock of that, and it led us to some observations. And you can see on the screen the essence of those conclusions from the impact assessment. The current offer of the funds doesn't provide large-scale seamless funding support on the entire investment journey from lab to fab to address market failures. There is insufficient flexibility also to respond to unforeseen needs. We saw it with the semiconductors, CHIPS Act, how difficult it was to curve out the budget from the current MFF to respond to the shortages during the COVID crisis. Same with the medicines. We also realized that the sources of funding are insufficiently linked at national, regional, local level, also private funding. There is a lot of funding, but somehow disconnected from each other, very fragmented. Last but not least, there is a financing and investment gap at the later stages on innovation, so-called valley of death, where the companies, while they might still find the funding for startups and for the earlier parts of the so-called investment journey in Europe, they find it very difficult to scale up in Europe, and as a reason of which they need to find the scale-up funds elsewhere on other markets.
Magda, I might jump in very quickly. I
Yes,
moderated an
please.
event for Euronews last week, a year after the Draghi report was presented, and that was very much a part of the discussion on how do you scale up. And so many companies have been tempted to go elsewhere where the funding is easier. So this is where Europe perhaps can help a little more with that.
Well, we definitely, this was part of the problem, and this is something we want to remedy with the new Competitiveness Fund.
Great.
Let me put, Nina, if you could move on to slide number 3. Actually, yes, this is in July, Commission adopted the multi-annual financial framework, the proposal. And we, the Competitiveness Fund, received quite an ambitious part of the entire envelope. On the slide, you can see that the biggest envelope belongs to the national and regional partnership plans, and the Competitiveness Fund, with over 400 billion, is the second biggest envelope with 21% of the budget. Now, this brings me to to where this 400 billion comes from. And Nina, if we could go back to slide number 3, it gives you a breakdown of the fund. The Competitiveness Fund will will be for the total of over 230 billion euro, divided into different thematic windows that correspond to different priorities. My colleague Jan will talk you in more detail through the windows, but I would like to show you also the linkages between the Horizon Europe and Innovation Fund, because these two, although self-standing programs, they will be very tightly connected to the Competitiveness Fund through the same governance, through the same windows, so that there is a bigger coherence and alignment between the research and industrial policy. And with this, I will pass on the floor to Jan, who will explain what's so new and what's so novel about the Competitiveness Fund. Jan, over to you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Nina, if we could move to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. So for the key features, why the ECF matters and what is new. So first of all, I think most importantly, it is about the scale, as we aim to pull together over 451 billion euros to help our competitiveness in strategic sectors. But also, it's not only the scale, but the impact as well, as we want to deliver one of the powerful toolboxes to leverage and mobilize private investment, most importantly through the InvestEU ECF instrument. And for the support, we aim to channel it throughout the entire investment journey seamlessly. So to fund projects from the research phase all the way up until scale up and manufacturing. And what is new in this fund precisely? It is the single rulebook, which aims to simplify rules of the current funds, because we are currently pulling together 13 different funds with 13 different rules to apply, and also 13 different one-stop shops all into one to simplify it for the final applicants and to also make it faster. Second novelty is the policy coherence, that we aim to ensure coherence between industrial and research policies by tightly linking Horizon Europe to the ECF, but also the agility, as we have learned from the current MFF that there's always new challenges coming up, and we need to act quickly and react to new priorities, and we cannot commit everything and assume that it will stay the same for the next 7 years. Nina, if we can move to the next slide, please. So as Magda has already mentioned, the key objective of the ECF is to establish an investment capacity to support European competitiveness in strategic sectors, also in decarbonization and resilience, and through a more seamless investment journey than right now. And as I mentioned before, we want to really leverage the funding tools of the EU budget to unlock private investment next to national and institutional investments as well. And for the next slide, please. Just to quickly illustrate the ECF on the slide, we present it as a sort of a house with 4 different windows. Each of the windows has a thematic topic. So one of them is for the clean transition and decarbonization, the other one for health, biotech, and bioeconomy, third one for digital leadership, and the fourth one for defense. As you can see, also there are budgets proposed that are assigned to it, as well as different horizontal instruments that will support the projects across the windows, which is the InvestEU instrument, but as well project advisory, SME collaboration, and skills. And on the left side, you can see the investment journey, and what we aim to do is really to support it, to support projects alongside the investment journey throughout, but also we aim to have a cyclical relationships and to have a feedback loop. So, you know, if there is an innovation, it can lead again to more research and so on and so forth. And also, most importantly, as mentioned before, there is the common rulebook and governance, which will which will also tie together Horizon Europe and ECF to make it easier for the applicants. And Magda will continue to speak a bit more about the toolboxes and the governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. So to deep dive a little bit into the common set of rules, which will be the same ones for for all the programs, including Horizon Europe, Competitiveness Fund. The idea behind is to simplify for beneficiaries. We received a lot of feedback that the programs have different rules, and this adds to the complexity. So on the slide you can see that what will be the rules underlying the competitiveness fund. Additional resources. I will just go into the most interesting ones, and I apologize upfront that we will not be able to answer in detail all the questions, because the negotiations in the council started only 3 weeks ago, and we're at the very beginning of the decision-making process. So we're fine-tuning together with member states a lot of these proposed novelties. Additional resources is something new. This will be, the idea is that member states, private investors will be able to add funds to the competitiveness fund, to specific windows or to the general envelope, horizontal. So there will be this flexibility. Alternative combined and cumulative funding, it's also new. The idea is to pull all the sources together, so the projects will be able to benefit from funding from different programs. Coordination, Jan mentioned that that this will be ensured across all the programs. Competitiveness seal, this will be a quality label for the projects that didn't get the funding under the competitiveness fund, but are very promising and will get a kind of a preferential treatment to get the funding from other sources, from national envelopes, for example. For instance, the projects that were selected under critical raw materials or net zero Industry Act will get automatically such a competitiveness seal. Eligibility for benefiting from the programs will be the same for all programs. The interesting bit is the EU preference. The awards, the calls will may include some restrictions, limiting it to the European companies. Association of third countries, this will also be the same. The idea is to be open, obviously, to the EFTA countries, to the candidate countries, and for third countries for them to be able to benefit against the contribution. I think these are the most interesting rules. Let's perhaps now move to the toolbox that the Competitiveness Fund has to offer. It's in, yes, this slide. So apart from the traditional grants and procurement, there will be a lot of other instruments, the whole array of tools, which we also collected based on the experience with the programs. Let me first start with the financial instruments under the InvestEU instrument, which built very much on the current InvestEU program. As you know, the InvestEU program was very successful with the budgetary guarantee of 26 billion. It managed over 4 years to mobilize over 300 billion, mostly from private investors. So this is the underlying ambition for the Competitiveness Fund, to mobilize the private investments through the budgetary guarantee. The ECF will offer not only grants but financial instruments such as equity, loans, And the contracts that we currently have with the implementing partners, with the banks in different member states, will be kept. So this will be the inherent part of the fund. Looking at what you see in the middle column, these are also very interesting industrial mechanism tools, single market value chains builder. The idea would be to give to do projects for to grant this money for projects that show that the value chain that they connect with different companies through different value chains, that we are not vulnerable to just one supplier, for instance. EU Tech Frontrunners, this is very much inspired by but what is done by some member states. It's the industry-driven innovation. So the industry is proposing some promising project, teams up with the whole ecosystem, SMEs, academia, researchers, and proposes the offer, which will be evaluated. Production ramp-up actions, this is also new and foresees the possibility for funding projects that already started. So not only the new projects. And I think with this, we have gone through the most interesting tools. I will pass on now the floor to Aga, who will talk you through the horizontal cross-cutting activities.
Thank you, Magda. Good morning again. So yes, I will present the last slide, which I think will be also interesting for you, where actually clusters also appear. So as Magda said, the ECF will have a whole array of financing tools, so the toolbox. But we also think that apart from financing as such, we need to provide more the soft type of advice to companies. This is very important. We have seen this also in other programs. So first of all, the project advisory. This is something that builds upon the current InvestEU advisory, where we, for instance, support projects, investment projects and companies in actually structuring the investment proposal, in sort of developing the business plan. Then we can also accompany the projects in their implementation. So we have seen this actually is quite a successful tool. We have developed it especially with the EIB group, which is one of the advisory partners for us on the InvestEU. So this really helps, especially a bit more complex investment projects obtain financing. We'll provide also capacity building to institutions, to financial institutions as well. Another part is business support. So there we will provide business advice to companies, growth advice, how to access technologies, infrastructures, how to access funding from the ECF as well. And the third part is actually the EU for Business Network. So it's a new name, but we want to build on the experience of the EN, the Enterprise Europe Network, and the cluster collaboration platform. So I think this is something that, of course, we would like to discuss together with you, how to in the best way leverage on these networks, and so somehow so they can become also the ambassadors for the ECF and provide advice on the ground to companies. I think this is very important. We see that this support on the local, regional level is very, very important for companies, especially SMEs. Yes, Chris, you wanted to come in? I see you.
No. It's just no. I'm just getting ready to jump in when you're done.
Yeah, okay.
We are kind of going a bit over time, but there's very important points to make. So I'll let you
Indeed.
wrap up and then I'll jump.
I'll finish. Yeah, I wrap up quickly. So another point is the SME action. So we're actually under each of the windows, there'll be dedicated actions to support SMEs. I think this is very important to underline that there'll be this dedicated SME support. And also, as the ECF is about simplification, we want to have like a single entry point to the fund, a single data interchange for companies, a single place where there'll be information about all types of funding. So this is the last point I wanted to make, and thank you very much.
Great. Dziękuję bardzo. Dziękuję, Agnieszka. Thank you. Okay, with one-stop shop, common rule book, toolbox, faster, things move faster. Let's get the reaction from those of you watching, and let's go to the Slido again. Let's hit you with a couple of questions before we go to the panel debate. The first one is, after what you've heard just now, what's a key aspect of this fund that your company or cluster could benefit from? And this is a word cloud. So a couple of words that you could put in from your to get tap your reaction here, because this is a two-way street. These cluster talks are all about that, is a dialogue between the clusters, the companies, and the commission. So yeah, scale up. Yeah, as we were talking, scale up is very, very important. There are lots of ideas, but how do you scale them up? Research and innovation, innovation. That was, by the way, that event that I moderated last week with with Euronews was about innovation and competitiveness. How do we do this? And that Draghi report was very much pushing in that direction, that we need to innovate, we need to be more competitive. How do we do that? Well, part of it is investment, and that is what this multiplier effect from the European Competitiveness Fund will help with that. And as the previous funds that we have used up to now they're being pulled together in one big fund, and to make it and to streamline it. Okay. Scale up, support SMEs, innovation, SME action. So SME is very important there. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the second question. What else? Well, a lot of good input there. By the way, we're keeping all this, right? It's good to get this feedback, and this is all being recorded, so we have that on record to look at. We have 2 more participants typing. Why not wait for that? 4 more. Wow. Agnieszka, your feedback on that.
Yes, I see a lot about SMEs. Indeed, this is very important for us as well. Matching companies, technology. So I see that not only the financing going to companies, but the sort of all the accompanying actions will be also very important for the participants.
Very good. Okay, let's move to the next question. What else would you like to see? What else would you like to see in the Competitiveness Fund? And let's take a look at that. And I think, Viorica, are you with us? Viorica Dishnica?
Yes, hello. I am here, but I'm struggling with camera and background.
Okay.
So
Well, you're with the commission too, DG Growth,
yes,
Policy
yes.
Officer at the commission, and you're working with the team, with Magda, with Jan, with Agnieszka on this. And maybe, even though we can't see you, let's take a look at this reaction here. Maybe you can comment on that.
Yes.
So what, from the feedback from the viewers, what else would you like to see in the Competitiveness Fund? This is what they've entered in there in the word cloud.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
reaction
indeed,
to that?
yeah, they're all for clusters. I say it very big in here, and actually the potential is big, provided that we don't know at this moment the details. Also, because as you might see when you approach the proposal, all the implementation parts, of course, will still come in the following months.
Level of details, yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, it's more than more than clear the fact that clusters in both, I mean, in their role as facilitators, as gatherers, as service and support providers, are of course one of the biggest players closest to the companies which the fund needs to address at most. Not less as also direct beneficiaries, for example, because when we will have hopefully the value chain instrument running, this is exactly what we point to do. So while on the one side we try to enhance the weak links that we find in the strategic and relevant value chains in Europe. On the other side, to try to innovate, exploiting the full potential we have in Europe, the role of clusters in connecting the right actors around these projects will be, I think, very relevant.
So the two, these are all weighted according or put in bolder because of the number of people who are supporting that, and explicit role for clusters, long-term cluster support, that clusters will be an important part of that. You can reassure us that that's a very important part of what this competitiveness fund will be, right?
Absolutely. Also, because in order to be effective, it needs to be run and used by people. So, and the clusters are exactly as I said, one of the forms of organizations which will find, I think, more than one place. I just did an example with our value chain builder, but also all the other instruments, the more classical projects, and of course the work that they already do also in providing the support, the information, the access to some more structured information also to their members and associates and companies and SMEs also is fundamental.
Okay, so this, all this is very important input. Thanks for everybody for this word cloud. There are other aspects of this that are important to keep in mind among the team at the Commission too, to make sure that these are addressed. So thanks very much for this word cloud, everybody. Now, let's go to the panel debate. I will begin with a lightning round. You see all the names there, lightning round, and get quickly each one of the speakers' feedback on this competitiveness fund proposal, right? It's not real yet because it has to get through the Parliament and through the Council as well. And then we'll go to Q&A with all of you out there. So any questions, please do put them in that, hit the button there at the bottom of the screen for Q&A. And okay, away we go. Let's start with Hervé Floch, President of the European Committee, AFPC. Hervé, what's your feedback quickly? And lightning round, who are you? Is Hervé there with us?
Excuse me. So,
Bonjour,
hello,
Hervé.
good morning to everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to this EU cluster talk. So I think the ECF instrument is a very significant progress in EU to amplify support to innovation, which is a key for Europe competitiveness today and in the future. Okay, we see that China and US in particular are very aggressive now. Okay, so if we want to remain really strong and at the top level in terms of innovation in key sectors and activity in our companies, and therefore jobs behind these. So we need to really have that type of tool. And so I'm very, very happy to and supportive for this new initiative in EU. Okay, very good. Thank you. So my name is Hervé Floch, I'm sorry, and I am the president of the Europe Committee of the French Association of Pôles de Compétitivité, which is a type of cluster organization in Europe. Okay, very good.
Let's move on to merci beaucoup, Hervé. Monika Antonovic, expert in strategy and analysis department at the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development. Cześć, Monika. What is your quick reaction?
Hello, everybody. Thank you
Yeah.
for invitation. I'm representing a governmental body which is implementing the structural funds and cluster policy in Poland, in short. So my short, I hope short, remarks about this presentation and the idea. I'm very glad that this kind of approach is presented by the Commission. Centralization is sometimes very good, but there are some risks inside. I really appreciate all the idea, really, but I know that the devil is in the details. So I'm thinking, do we create pressure for uniformity and standardization which doesn't fit the diverse needs of different region, different SMEs, different clusters? That's my issue, which is my question, because not one size fits all solutions are sometimes not so well to implement, and the risks. So I hope that really the fund will allow differentiated approaches, space for regional flexibility, bottom-up project design, as was mentioned by Agnieszka, I think. Otherwise, I see the risk that we're building a fund that looks really good on paper, but doesn't work on the ground. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I hope that there will be safeguard mechanisms inside protective instruments or dedicated envelopes for capital weaker sectors that struggle to compete for external funds. We are talking about competition, about forerunners being the best, and so on. But we are European Union. We want to have a sustainable development of all regions, all clusters, all SMEs.
Okay.
So I hope that will be okay.
Yeah.
We don't forget about crafts. Don't forget about traditional agri-food production. And so I hope that there will be some protective mechanism. Another thing, sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
You
briefly. The lightning round.
The result-based management model of the fund is also the problem, could be a problem for every region, because I hope there will be, for example, the flexible response for crisis, and there will be very quicker than during the COVID. I know that during the COVID the response was quick, but not enough from my point of view.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. We can drill down further on this. And of course, I'm sure the European Commission team there is taking some notes for reacts. That will tap you, the team, later on this. Let's go to Montse Daban, president of CEBR. That's the Council of European Bioregions. Montse, tell us what you do, and a quick reaction to this proposal, this Competitiveness Fund proposal.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for the opportunity to share our thoughts from the Council of European Bioregions. My name is Montse Daban, you mentioned, and I am also working at BioCat, which is the cluster organization in the bioregion of Catalonia. I am a molecular biologist, a PhD by training, but I've been focusing on building ecosystems for the last 20 years. So my perspective is from the ecosystem side, in life sciences in particular. So what I think is that it is a very powerful tool if it is managed as a simple front door, interoperable level, blended finance, and having clusters embedded as delivery partners. Because we, for example, the Council of European Bioregions being one of the several thousand, I mean, the thousands of clusters in ECCP, for example, we ourselves represent 50 members, 50 regional clusters over 18 countries, and we represent about 15,000 stakeholders. So we can get this upstream and downstream sequence of what can be useful for the implementation of this. Our thoughts here in this, the potential of the fund here is that it might help access to scale up capital, which is crucial for life sciences in particular, but many sectors. It can also support these slow, complex approvals for some clean rooms, some labs, some utilities that are very important in our sector, for example. Yeah. It can also support these volatile electricity and gas prices, so we can help also to the energy aspects. But we need that this one-stop shop that was mentioned is really permitting. So what we can absolutely say is that we support this front door, but clusters need to act as assisted entry points that can coach SMEs to become really seal ready for this excellence.
Very good point, Montse, because I want to ask all of the panelists as we go during the session about where they see the clusters in this, how they can make this happen.
Fundamental.
Fundamental. Good. Excellent. Raffaella Bruzzone, Chair of Access to Finance Thematic Group, Enterprise Europe Network, Chamber of Commerce, Genoa. Raffaella, buongiorno. Can you give us explain briefly what you do and also your quick reaction to the...
Okay, thanks a lot for having me here. It's a pleasure to represent, well, my host organization in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Genoa, but I've got also the pleasure to chair, as you mentioned, the thematic group devoted to access to finance within the largest EU supporting network for SMEs, Enterprise Europe Network. Just let me say a few points on this, because I guess it's very well connected to these very ambitious and promising competitiveness fund. We are a network. We are, as Montse was saying, I was saying, and Monica as well, connected, of course, at transnational, international level, but also in our local ecosystems with all other players like clusters, professional associations, regional agencies, and so forth. And that's a crucial point to maintain and to keep it lively. But it's also, I mean, our role here, since we are a network representing European regions and territories and beyond, because we are covering more than 50 countries across the world, and we are a good number of professionals, is to keep, as it was mentioned by DG Grow presentation, an easy access to SMEs. Monica was saying we are in Europe, we have a lot of different sizes of companies and typology of activities represented in there, which is the backbone of the European economy. And so I guess the huge challenge for the program and for this fund is to keep track and to keep the capacity to balance different kind of interests and needs from different kind of companies. So we have to support those who are more innovative, more competitive via the sector they represent, they are working, but we also have to keep track of the, let's say, most traditional sectors that we have in our economy. So, I mean, a big thank to the Commission for this idea of making a unique program. I mean, the simplification is the magic word, for companies. But as my colleagues were saying, we do really have to stay and to pay attention to the concrete capacity to have this fund operational and accessible to all kinds of companies.
Right, the clusters play an important part in facilitating that. Great, thank you, Raffaella. Let's move to Sébastien Thomas Chaffange, General Director of France Clusters. I like this line that you have, éclaireur de possibles passeurs des idées. Wonderful. So what do you think about this plan, and how do you fit in?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to this important discussion. I am Sébastien Thomas Chaffange, General Director of France Cluster, and I am very pleased to share with you how clusters can play a concrete role in this success of the European Competitiveness Fund. I think this new fund has the potential to become a real game changer. It is not only about pooling financial instruments, it is about giving Europe a strong and coherent tool to reinforce your industrial and innovation capacity. At Fund Cluster, we see every day how the right financial support can accelerate industrial projects. Our program Cluster Invest is a good example. It shows how cluster can act as financial and strategic intermediaries, identify promising SMEs, preparing them for investment, and connecting them with both private and public financiers. In this way, cluster translate EU ambition into very tangible result for a company on the ground, and I think it will be a very good, a very strong support for this fund.
Okay, great. Sébastien, merci beaucoup. Thank you. We will come back to all of you. Let me jump back then to Hervé. And Hervé, I guess I didn't ask you personally, where do you see the clusters in this competitiveness fund? How can the clusters play a role?
That's I think it was mentioned. I think we have a fundamental role, okay, in Europe, especially first to connect innovation ecosystem through different European regions, okay? So this is really important to link innovation ecosystem in Europe. So we have this capacity, and we are very unique to animate ecosystem from research to industry, taking into consideration as well, training, technology transfer, public-private funding, everything that can transform result coming from research to innovation, which is the engine for competitiveness. Mm-hmm. So cluster in this ECF, I guess, will have a very important role for this animation of actors, okay, from research to industry again. So mm-hmm. SMEs in cluster organization, if I can take as an example what we have done through the last 20 years in France with the pôle de compétitivité. This national policy was decided at that time to create a shock in the SMEs, to have this reflex, I would say, to go for R&D and innovation. So after 20 years, the pôle de compétitivité, so all sectors, included. We are talking about 53 pôles de compétitivité, okay? We're able to generate 55 billions, okay, through R&D project and innovation in France, and 80% are in SMEs.
Yeah.
So this is a very concrete demonstration of the leverage effects, and thanks to cluster organization.
Can you give us a specific example? I see your DG at Alpha, Route des Lasers et Hyperfréquence, par exemple. Is there a specific concrete example about how one of those companies has benefited from this and been able to innovate and upscale?
Yes, so I am also, the Director General of the Alpha, Route des Lasers and Hyperfréquence, as you said. So based on a political decision, end of the 90s, okay, for defense program in France, we have catalyzed the construction of an ecosystem. After 20 years, we're talking about more than 60,000 plus direct and highly qualified jobs, something like 20,000 plus indirect, okay, jobs. So a sort of new economic at the regional at the regional level in France and in Europe. So we have, for example, a startup at that time was named Amplitude System, that was created thanks to these dynamics of Route des Lasers. And today we have this company as a mid-cap and the world leader for ultra-fast pulse duration laser sources. Okay, so this is an example, and we were able to create more than 100 startups. 92% of them are still alive. So this was made possible thanks to the creation of a cluster named Route des Lasers, and now including microwave technologies. Okay, so clusters was the engine for developing this, let's say, economy and business activities through companies, and in majority, I want you to know that SMEs.
Yeah, so it was important through the cluster and through EU funding as well, I imagine.
Absolutely. So the Pôle de Compétitivité national policy made a very strong objective that was starting in 2019 for Pôle de Compétitivité to perform at the European level. So Europe now is a very important objective, and very frankly, I think that the ECF, okay, so there are probably many things to precise in this ECF, which is still a proposal. It has to be fully supported by the member states. Okay, so but that will definitely be a powerful competitiveness boost for Europe to secure supply chains.
Right.
And we see what happens now in Europe with this conflict in Ukraine and many things happening. The world is changing. So this tool for me is a real chance for amplifying our competitiveness. Okay. And clusters, I hope that clusters will have a specific place in the ECF, okay, and this is a key, according to me. So probably something to be discussed in more detail, of course.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a number of questions lining up, but let me go to Monica. You want to talk about lessons learned, right, from these previous funds like Horizon, InnoSoup, COSME, competitiveness of enterprises and SMEs. What's maybe one key lesson that you've learned that maybe could be applied to this new competitiveness fund?
It is difficult to say only one, but connected to Hervé Vlog. Okay, to Hervé Vlog presentation, I should say that I've learned that clusters are very developed organization. They can be formally included to reach SMEs through cascade funding, and this is very important to include the clusters into the, or more broadly, innovation ecosystem in the regulation. It's not mentioned. There is mentioning about I don't remember, but it was something like not clusters, but it was like intermediaries only. But I think it is important to include this already experienced organization to the system of implementing the fund, and for me it's important. I think that important is as well, because we all talking all the time about what is the cluster impact and what is important. From my point of view, we don't have the great data, very good data about this really good cluster impact. Hervé Vlog said about something about French clusters, called the Competitivité, but I have my my benchmarking study in Poland, biannual study, but the Commission and we all the time we are talking about how clusters are good. So I think that it could be really great to implement kind of new cluster impact score in this kind of new ruling.
Okay.
To have proved that clusters are really important, influential organization.
Actually meant by a key KPI, key performance.
Yeah,
Like
but
that.
I'm not sure it could be simple KPI, but it's cluster impact score. We could have for the discussion some data. So evidence-based discussion. And from my research, clusters are very important stakeholders to reach the SMEs, to reach really exact the needs of our companies. But they can give added value to the regions.
Yeah.
And they have very nice outcomes, but we need to score them. We need to have data. And sorry but a little bit of complaint. ECC platform and cluster map of the ECC platform is outdated totally. There are clusters that doesn't exist anymore. We don't have updated data about clusters in Europe. So
Okay.
This cluster impact score could be, if we have the updated map, we could see the importance of the clusters in Europe through this cluster impact score through ECC map.
You know what? If you look at the chat, the Kauterman agrees. She says, "Super good idea."
Yeah, sorry that the mention is from the policymaker side, but
sure.
it is good for clusters as well.
Okay.
To give them the evidence for their greatness.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Dziękuję, Monica. Monse, can I go back to you?
Yeah,
and, can I ask you how can clusters like yours help to ensure that this competitiveness fund actually reaches SMEs and regional ecosystems effectively?
Yeah, totally. But let me just first very quickly react to Monica's comments, because though we can share some or most of those ideas, besides being the president of the Council of European Bioregions, I'm in the board of directors of the European Clusters Alliance. So there's a huge work at the European Clusters Alliance trying to gather this information and to make, so sometimes we make calls to clusters to feedback and to get these impact indicators. It is good that we all get our responsibility also on providing every data that we can provide to. So I think we have to leverage on all the tools that we already have and make them all together better. But I think let's keep in mind that European Clusters Alliance is there also for this kind of data gathered. And I also want to stress the fact that—
Can I interrupt? If you want Polish data, call me. Just
sorry,
call
let me just finish here. So I would like to also stress the fact that clusters are very different. So we can see that in the bioregion, for example, we can talk about different types of collaborative leadership and visions from the territory. So what I would like to see is not just what clusters can do or how the European Competitiveness Fund has to include clusters in the strategy, but I also want to see their role in the governance. I would like to see, namely, for example, that these clusters can be in the strategic stakeholders board and the competitiveness coordination tool, because there we can be really decisive on how to implement this. So I want also to see the role of clusters in the smart specialization strategies at regional level. Sometimes our knowledge from the clusters is not really perceived at that level. So that I think that could be some requests that we can all of us share. And something that is very important. So if we all agree that being different, we play a very decisive role, which we are saying, I mean, we are these connectors across the different, in the life sciences, for example, pharma, innovators, investors, hospitals. If we are there, but we sometimes lack this funding strategy for clusters, because our sustainability is also decisive for all of this to be implemented. So we need to leverage on this knowledge that we have. We have to be able to implement it, but we also need to be somewhere. So first, what are clusters? Second, the role of clusters in this deployment. And third, lessons learned. And I don't know if you asked us a little bit of lessons learned from.
Yeah, tell me one lesson you learned.
Yeah, so I'm coordinator of One Regional Innovation Valley. I see the translation of what happens on the paper at the commission level, which is great in terms of ideas to be implemented into regions with this co-fund. 50% is so tricky for most regions. And also at the same time, it's tricky to be at same level at different regions. And also if this means aligning strategies, I think we should be probably a little bit more straightforward on how to align them from regional perspective, European perspective, and co-funding is sometimes so tricky that we have to review this a little bit.
Yeah, I think Rafaela, I think that's a point that you wanted to make as well about regional targeting, about thinking local, and how can clusters help to do that.
Yeah, thanks
It's fun.
for the question, and also I will listen very attentively to the comments made by my colleagues before. I mean, I do share most of their comments here with this fund. Coming back to the program, to the proposal itself, we have, I guess, a huge opportunity to make life easier to SMEs. That's our main target. If I go back to my both organization where I belong to, so the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, but also to the network, which I've got the pleasure to represent, so the Enterprise Europe Network, we are doing I guess an excellent work in terms of proximity. So we are serving on a local base a wide variety of companies. I mean, ranging from the most competitive ones to the more traditional ones. And that's a value, an added value that should be kept and maintained also in the next programming phase. And particularly, what I see here is crucial, given the broad, though synthetic presentation that DG Grow colleagues made of the proposal for the fund. We have a lot of challenges, but most of all, it will be crucial for SMEs to have, like a door to knock on, to clearly understand how to take part, to benefit of these financial provisions.
So the cluster is the middle person there, right?
Yes, I mean, clusters, we are all, if I may say it, as like also the Enterprise Europe networks, a sort of virtual ecosystem, broader ecosystem at worldwide spread. But here it's not, I wouldn't run the risk to see it like a competition. We are all working, all kind of public and private actors are working on the field to support local SMEs who are the economic and the most important players. And
also helping them with financial literacy, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's the point. I mean, we should be able to support those companies to better understand the rule, to understand what is the program which is best fitting for their investment strategy, which is not that granted, because all the programs that will be channeled into the European Competitiveness Fund are not always accessible or adequate to all kinds of companies. So an important role is to advise companies on the best financial tools, be it grant, equity, or debt, and therefore not creating also false expectations on their side. And just one more comment, more generally speaking, on the challenges that European Commission and all our regions will have, is to maintain a balance between those funds who are, let's say, like these ones, mainly devoted to support innovative development and I mean, to become sort of unicorns promoters across the world. And with the structural funds, they have been named as an important financial envelope that needs to be maintained at regional level, because it can complement and support different kind of investment needs and different kind of beneficiaries.
Yeah, good point. Good points. I'm seeing in the chat very interesting back and forth on Monica's proposed clusters impact score. That very interesting conversation there. I wish I could read them out, but we don't have time. I want to go to Sébastien and let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you face, you're trying to solve. And let me work in one of the questions, because we have a number of questions I'd like to get to from the viewers. The EC, the Commission is putting a lot, it says the Commission is putting a lot of emphasis on private funding, privately funding SMEs and startups, which is very good, but they also need customers, instruments that help to connect to difficult clients like public administration. So they manage to get first customers. So first customers are needed. Please think about first customer instruments. If you understood that, can you comment on that as a challenge?
I think once they have questions, I thought that they have
I
the
did,
hand
but I
up.
will share with you that later, because I really wanted to provide an impact framework analysis that we made for clusters, and I'm just copying this in the chat because it's published.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, great. Yeah, let's go back to you, Sebastian. The idea that this is great to have, you know, the funding and encouraging private investment, but there's also the question of customers. Can you address that?
I spoke about the Cluster Invest program, and I think it's a very important point to finance industrialization project of SMEs, and there is a point with the market and customers,
Yeah.
and I think it's there is I would like to highlight the importance of regional ecosystem and the local goal. I think if the European Competitiveness Fund is to reach SMEs, it must work with the actors who are close to them, clusters. I think this. I think we have to keep the instrument simple and clear, and I think answers that they are well really locally, and it's the link with your questions, and I think we have to point to the value of the collective facilitation that clusters provide. I would like to speak about one program, one France Cluster program about pivot circulaire. And I would like to speak about circular economy practice, because I think it's a very important point. And the point is by mobilizing a cluster and their network, we are able to transform regional ecosystem and accelerate the transition to more sustainable models.
Very good.
And this territorial amplifier effect, it exactly that the Competitiveness Fund needs to rely. And I think we can have very result quickly and inclusively. I think there is a very important point about local effect and regional ecosystem.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where clusters like yours can help with that. I see a number of questions that are quite relevant to the Commission. Can I pose at least some of these to the Commission team, to Magda and company? Here's one from João. Is the budget proposed in the slide for ECF regulation, the ECF regulation, ring-fenced? I'm not even sure what that means. Magda, or one of you at the Commission, can you
Yes.
comment on that? Is a budget proposed in the slide for ECF regulation ring-fenced?
Yes, we know.
That makes sense.
We understand very
Okay.
well the ring fence because it's a heated discussion always. Ring fencing budget is earmarking budget for specific activities.
Fixed.
Yes,
Okay.
fixed. Yes. So of course it's a proposal, and there is the tentative allocation per window. We saw the 4 windows, and will this stay as it is? It remains to be seen. During the negotiations with the Council and the Parliament, we hear that some member states might have their own ideas and proposals.
So you'd like it fixed, but it might not be at the end.
It's the proposal of the allocation,
right.
and the idea is to have also flexibility, and this is what the next MFF is all about. So also of possibility of moving some non-allocated funds across windows or across different emerging priorities.
Sure, over 7 years things can change,
So I would say what we propose now, it would be a very big envelope per window, with some flexibilities built in. So.
Okay, all right, good. Let me go to the next one from Anna. Despite being a cornerstone of EU's economy, a major employer across all member states and strategic for ensuring food security and driving the green and digital transition, the food industry doesn't appear explicitly, I guess, in this plan. Is it not considered strategic for EU competitiveness? Like maybe Jan or Viorica or Agnieszka would like to comment on that.
I can try to get it, and I'm also trying to reactivate my camera. Let's see. Oh,
there
hello.
You are.
Hi everyone.
Hey.
There is a face.
Way to go.
Hi also to many friends I have in online today. Good to see and not see you. Very quickly.
Finally get to see you. That's great.
So
anyway, about the food business, food industry. Where is it in this plan?
I know it is in our biotech, health, agriculture window. I understand. I mean, it is very difficult also from a simple layout of a program just to see and to grasp where all the different industries in Europe can find themselves. I just wanted to reassure you that also this is also an observation coming also from the Council, so don't feel distracted. But that window contains, of course, all the agriculture and agri-food aspect linked also to the very relevant industry and the work we have also on food safety, food security, and everything that relates to that. So biotech also applies to food. So of course it's all in there. The thing is that of course there is also a linguistic limitation. Normally in the regulation we cannot make the Christmas tree of all the list of things and the list of specific targets and so on and so forth. Either because we have a length limit, it would be unreadable for you and for us, but also because the idea is really, as Magda remember, the flexibility is not only regarding budget, which of course, if once it's approved, that it will be possible to manage for us, but it's also on being the less prescriptive as possible. So the idea of the ECF is also to avoid to publish calls which really prescriptively address the specific project, the specific research, the specific, I mean, as we know, some topics are right now, especially on the collaborative innovation efforts. For this, the work programs in the ECF aim to be the less prescriptive possible. Of course, work programs will target sectors, and please be reassured that agriculture, food industry, but also other industries you might not find immediately in there. And I might dare even class organization. Again, in the spirit, so I'm taking another comment that's online. In the spirit of keeping things a little bit short, but also broad and ample and flexible, we could not make a list of which are the intermediaries in Europe. Clusters are one of the big players, but as we know, also them are made up themselves of other intermediary organizations based locally. And
Okay.
please, I take another second to say that, of course, we are really aware of how much eradicated in the territory innovation is and how it happens. It is place-based. It's about connecting actors and players starting from the territories. The first
Okay. So you're thinking regional, you're thinking local in this. Okay.
Yes, of course we do.
Yeah.
But in order to do this in a better way, in a more flexible way, we need to coordinate very well in what will happen in the national plans at regional level. This is a huge effort. I got Monica's comment very clear. It can be difficult and messy. We will try to do this in the best way possible with our steering mechanism, with the coordination tool. We will have a communication in November about how we are trying to connect at the different levels. So sorry for being long. I hope to address different questions.
That's important. It has to, you have to reassure people about this plan. Here's one from Tina. Will the Commission publish any documents providing further details on how the Competitiveness Fund will work in practice? I assume so. If yes, what and when can we expect them? And will there be one work program per policy window in the ECF that will include research and innovation funded through Horizon Europe? Is defense R&I budget part of ECF or the Horizon Europe financial envelope? And one more, how will the competitiveness coordination tool work in practice? A lot of questions. If you could briefly, I don't know, maybe someone else, Jan or Agnieszka?
I can start actually addressing some of them, but I wanted to
but briefly, yeah.
quickly also go back to SMEs and the sort of scale-up theme that also appeared quite strongly. So what you have seen is that ECF actually is the first program that addresses, as we call it, a seamless investment journey. So it really aims to support companies through all the development stages to really enable to make sure that they grow. So that's why all the toolbox will match with the different levels of development. So this is very important to underline. On the details and work programs, yes, this of course, we will not publish details before the proposal has been approved, yes, so agreed. And then work programs, of course, will contain all the necessary details for potential beneficiaries. And yes, there'll be in principle one work program per window. Of course, we have to ensure that the information is spread all over. I mean, as you said, there's many different companies that might be interested, and you know, having a dedicated window, for instance, on agriculture and food, doesn't mean that food companies cannot benefit from other windows. Yeah, because for instance, the digital window, we have calls on digitalization, for instance, the calls on energy efficiency, perhaps. So we have to really think how also with all the organizations like clusters, how we pass this information in a very structured way that you as intermediary have a great understanding, and then you can pass also this information to companies. And I also just wanted to go back quickly to the point raised by Montse on the strategic stakeholder board. Yes, of course, we want to hear the voice from clusters as well. So I think the cooperation goes sort of both ways. Yeah. So you are the voice of the stakeholders, companies on the ground, and then you are sort of the ambassador, the arm of the ECF on the ground. And I let also other colleagues maybe to come in.
I think actually, hopefully that we need to move on. So that is great, Agnieszka. I think, you know, these details are forthcoming. This is, of course, a budget plan that is from 2028 to 34, right? So this doesn't kick into place until much later. This is a work in progress, and it's important to get the feedback, though, from everyone out there, all of you watching, as well as the cluster people here in the panel. So I think this was productive. I suppose it was, Agnieszka, right? I think you're happy with the feedback. And this let me then I think wrap this up with at least with the debate panel, and let's move on to then the funding opportunities so we can stay on time. Nina, please.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone for all the feedback and presentations. Very, very interesting. Before sharing just a few upcoming calls that are of interest, let me also remind you that there is an ongoing review of the general block exemption regulation. I will put that link in the chat right now, so that all of you can have a look at that. Also related to cutting red tape and promoting investments. So the Commission is currently reviewing the general block exemption regulation, which declares specific categories of state aid compatible with the internal market so that such aid is exempt from the requirement of prior notification and approval by the Commission. So please have a look at that as well. The feedback is open until the 6th of October. So there's still time to reply for this. And then just to wrap up with some upcoming calls that might be of interest to you, we have a call published on the European Network of National Competence Centers for Innovation Procurement. The call aims to establish and expand a Europe-wide network of national competence centers for innovation procurement, with the expected results to have greater awareness among startups and SMEs of innovation procurement opportunities, to have more EU-wide preliminary market consultation on published tenders, as well to have an increased recognition of the strategic role of innovation procurement in policies. This is an Horizon call with the deadline of the 20th of January, and the link is in the chat. Another call is scaling up deep tech ecosystems. This call seeks to strengthen inclusive, interconnected, and effective innovation in ecosystems across the EU by linking diverse actors and promoting collaboration between innovation leaders and less advanced territories to boost competitiveness while supporting the green, digital, and social transitions. So this call underpins a sustainable and inclusive European innovation model to address some of Europe's burning challenges. You see some here in the screen, like reducing reliance on fossil fuels or increasing global food security. The same deadline, 20th of January, the link is in the chat. And there's a call open for expanding investment ecosystems. This call aims to increase cross-border venture capital flows into emerging and moderate innovator regions, helping local startups expand into stronger EU markets and bridging gaps in later stage financing. Also a very interesting call with activities that can include market orientation programs for investors and startups, assistance for investors through investment process, also roadshows and international forums, peer matchmaking and networking, as well as best practices and recommendations for regulators to ease cross-border investments. Same deadline, also Horizon call, and the link is in the chat. So thanks very much, and back to you.
Nina, thank you so much. Thanks to all the speakers. My gosh, Elve, Monica, Montse, Rafaela, Sebastian, Magda, Jan, Viorica, Agnieszka, and all your questions out there. This was really productive. Let's register for the next talk. 8 October, Comprehensive Security, Building Resilience and Industrial Innovation Across Sectors. Go ahead and register for that. Register for the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. You can continue this discussion, and it was quite lively in person and also on this chat. It was amazing. Continue that on LinkedIn. You can see the link for that. That was great. Anything you'd like to cast wider, please do. Hashtag EU Clusters Talks. Hashtag EU Clusters Talks. Visit the website, follow the social media. And this is recorded for playback. Slides available on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. I'm Chris Burns. Thanks so much for being with us. See you next time.
you.